The verdicts have been reached in the Cloud9 nightclub shooting trial. We'll tell you who's going to prison.
Homeowners in flooded neighborhoods in Alachua County due to Hurricane Irma might soon see a resolution. We'll tell you how.
And the cleanup of a toxic Superfund site in North Central Florida still continues today. We'll show you what the future of the site could look like. Those stories and more. The TV 20 News at 6 starts now.
This is News at 6 on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
The verdicts are in the Cloud9 shooting that killed 19-year-old Benitria Robinson and wounded 5 others.
All 3 defendants stood trial at the same time. TV 20's Curtis Jennings joins us now live outside the courthouse. And Curtis, what's the latest?
Well, David Page, Laquan Barrow and Michael Smith were both found guilty on second-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted murder. And I had a chance to sit in the courtroom today to see it all unfold. Emotions ran high in the courtroom as Laquan Barrow and Michael Smith's verdicts were read.
We, the jury, find as to the defendant, Laquan Ramel Barrow, the defendant is guilty of attempted second-degree murder.
Both were found guilty in the shooting death of 19-year-old Benitria Robinson, and her parents say they'll never forgive them for what they did.
I'm here to say I'm so glad I got justice for my father, Benitria Robinson.
So when you sit in jail, in prison, I want you to think about Benitria Robinson.
Barrow's sentencing date has not yet been set, while Smith was sentenced shortly after the verdicts were read. Judge Anthony Taddy sentenced Smith to life in prison for the crimes with a minimum mandatory sentence of 20 years.
All I can say is on my side of the family, we do apologize. We can't bring back, nothing can bring back your daughter.
But the Robinsons say life in prison is just as well served.
At the end of the day, like they said, no one's really a winner, no one's really a loser. But we're satisfied. Like I said, justice for my sister, and hopefully we can put all this past us and move on with our lives.
And guys, I have just been told that the third defendant, Gary King, has been found innocent on all charges. Reporting live in Marion County, Curtis Jennings, TV 20 News.
Let's take a first look at the weather now for North Central Florida and get ready for a big change in our weather by the end of the work week.
Alex, how cold is it going to get?
Well, we definitely won't be in the 80s or the 70s, so big change from where we have been. 81 was the afternoon high today in Gainesville. What a warm one. Now, the average is 70. We're going to be struggling to even make it to 70 anytime soon. Right now, we're still in the 70s in Gainesville at 73. Now, Lake City, you're 52. Cross City, you're 60 degrees. So you can see the hints of that cold front already making itself through our temperature map of North Central Florida. It's also being seen on radar and satellite. Look at all that rainfall as it makes its way across Swanee River Valley areas and all the way up north to I-10. The rain now starting to diminish for at least a little while, so it will be relatively dry for a majority of the evening, minus a sprinkle or two. But those temperatures are going to be dropping into the 50s for just about everybody, except maybe Marion County. Overnight tonight, they'll be dropping into the 50s as well, and we're off to a cool start left and right across North Florida for your Thursday. I'll have a full look at the rest of the work week and how cold we'll get in a few minutes.
It's been 3 months since Hurricane Irma left dozens of Alachua County neighborhoods underwater. The county is now working on solutions.
Last night, county commissioners decided to move forward with the possibility of buying affected properties to prevent future flooding issues. TV 20's Sarah Girard spoke with a homeowner who hopes the county takes his home off his hands.
That's just a nightmare, you know, to say the least.
Gary Nonog used to live in Robin Lane.
I do photography, and this is my home studio. Was.
In September, Hurricane Irma flooded his home, leaving his family with no other option but to find somewhere else to live.
It's a struggle financially, you know.
Mr. Nonog tells me that during Hurricane Irma, the floodwaters rose so high they reached just above his mailbox. That's roughly 4.5 feet, causing him and his family to have to canoe to and from their home.
So we're trying to make do with the best we can.
Now the county is taking action. Their engineers helped compile a list of 14 flood-prone neighborhoods in order of priority, with Robin Lane, Hills of Santa Fe, and Meadowbrook at the top.
Number one, prioritize the flooded homes on the basis of the severity of damage. and then communicate with the owners of these homes regarding their willingness to sell at appraised market value.
The county will have to decide what the best option is on a case-by-case basis, whether that's buying the property, installing permanent water pumps, or considering other options. NONOG has already started putting together photos and videos to send to the commission.
But we do want to move on, and we'd like closure, and hopefully this buyout will go as soon as possible.
County officials say solving the issues in just the top 4 or 5 neighborhoods could cost between $2 and $3 million. Sarah Gerard, TV 20 News.
County plans to apply for state and federal grants to pay for the project. Now, engineers are also working on assessing flooded areas of the east side of the county.
Cleanup of a Superfund site set in northwest Gainesville has been in the works since the early 1990s and still continues for part of the site more than 25 years later. The 130-acre Cabot Coppers property was declared a Superfund site in 1984 by the EPA.
And now University of Florida urban and regional planning students have their eyes on the site's future. TV 20's Alex Calamia takes a look at their vision for the area after the cleanup is finished.
The neighborhood residents have been interested in trying to think forward to what would happen.
In the early 1900s, a wood treatment facility and turpentine and charcoal manufacturer were located in what is now part of a Stephen Foster neighborhood in Gainesville. Cleanup of a contaminated groundwater, surface water, and soil continue to this day.
What could be done on the Cabot Coppers Superfund site after the remediation of the toxins that are on that site has been completed?
That's the question UF urban and regional planning students are trying to answer.
My students worked on health impact assessment of what would happen to the neighborhood after the remediation was completed and the site was ready for redevelopment.
The academic project began after Superfund site manager Scott Miller approached Steiner looking for university involvement.
This is a classic city and the university working together.
Tuesday night, students presented their development ideas for the site to an audience at Stephen Foster Elementary School. Many who were in attendance are long-term residents of the neighborhood.
What we've been doing is working through and develop 3 different ideas.
The first, a financially conservative option without major changes in development.
The second one looks at arts and food, and the third one looks at high-tech and solar technologies.
Some students argued that the second option has a template that's already proven successful in the area.
Foster Square kind of takes off the Tioga Town Center concept, where you have commercial mixed use up front with buffers in between of green space and parks, and then it staggers back into a residential development.
Regardless of the site's future, one thing is certain: members of the community will continue to share their input. Until then, the EPA cleanup continues with the next 5-year review on the remediation progress scheduled for 2021. Alex Calamia, TV 20 News.
Coming up next, protesters gathered outside a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conference this afternoon. We'll tell you why.
And the Swanee River Management District is partnering with the state to offer North Central Florida farmers some funding. We'll tell you what for when the TV 20 News at 6 returns.
A handful of protesters expressed their concerns this afternoon over the Florida Wildlife Commission's black bear conservation policies.
They gathered outside an FWC conference at the Best Western on 97th Boulevard, holding up signs in protest. They claim the FWC isn't doing enough to protect Florida black bears and the ecosystems that support them.
Our natural lands are no longer truly natural. A lot of big machines are used and manage them for both consumptive and non-consumptive purposes, and we need to take much better care of the sensitive ground cover out there that our wildlife depends on.
FWC officials inside the conference center say they're happy to listen to all perspectives, but they believe their policies actually help the bears.
Even with all of the humans moving to Florida, all the development in Florida, we have a booming bear population. So it's recovered from a low of about 300 bears in the early 70s to now over 4,000 bears statewide.
Wildlife officials say over the past 2 years, they've raised more than $1 million to outfit communities with bear-proof trash cans. It's an effort they hope keeps the human footprint in bears' environments as small as possible.
Local agencies are working to bring farming into the digital age. The Swanee River Management District, in partnership with the state of Florida, is offering area farmers $2 million in cost-sharing funding to help start the new technologies. Now, interested farmers who adopt specific technologies can apply for compensation for up to 75% of the cost. The focus of the program is to improve water quality.
This technology is going to allow farmers to implement things that 10 years ago, 20 years ago weren't even possible.
And one technology showcase places sensors in crops which pinpoint the areas that need more or less water.
Well, we all need a little more water for our plants in the yards.
We have some stormy skies out there, Alex.
Yeah, you know, the plants are going to love the rain, and then they're going to hate the cold that's behind it. So not going to be a great one for the gardeners out there. But if you do love the cool weather, that's in your 7-day, which is next right after the break. Well, we managed to make it back into the 80s for the 3rd day in a row in Gainesville, but it's the last day we'll see the 80s for a while. 81 in Gainesville for your afternoon high. Morning low was 56. That's more like your afternoon high tomorrow. We're really going to be seeing some big cool downs. Already seeing some big cool downs across north central Florida, depending on where you are. Lake City, you're at 52 right now, 73 degrees in Gainesville. So a huge difference in temperatures in a very small distance. 57 in Jacksonville, 75 in St. Augustine. So you can see those hints of a cold front in a big way already making its way through North Florida. So the cloud cover already indicating where that front is, more clouds indicating where that lift is. And that's exactly what fronts do. They lift the air, but there's not exactly enough moisture to sustain these showers throughout the evening hours. So a lot of the shower activity that we did see earlier today is now beginning to diminish as that cold front continues to push its way southward. But there's plenty of shower activity behind the front. So we're talking more rain chances on your Thursday and your Friday before this front finally lifts far south enough to make the weather much clearer and more pleasant for the weekend. But the cold, that's behind the front. So we're going to be seeing the cold air for quite a while longer, because take a look at what we're talking about well behind this front. Lot of Arctic air. So this is the upper levels of the atmosphere, the jet stream pattern showing that polar jet dipping all the way south into the southeastern U.S. and then even the subtropical jet, which usually lives a little bit lower and farther south in latitude, that's also dipping. So we're talking about a lot of cold air that's going to be sustained across the country over the next week or so. Already seeing temperatures only in the teens to freezing, depending on where you are in parts of the Great Lakes region. And as far south as Atlanta, only 40 degrees. So a big contrast just a couple of miles once you get that cold front passing on through. So let's talk about where this cold front is and where it's going to be over the next couple of days. Not a lot of movement as you head into tomorrow. The cloud cover alone is going to keep all of us on the cooler side. But if you're on the south side of a front tomorrow, like areas of Marion County southward might be, you're going to be seeing more of that warmer weather into the 60s still lingering tomorrow. But on the other side of this cold front, 40s and 50s are the best we're going to be doing even for afternoon high temperatures. Now, the overnight lows are going to be staying above freezing because of all of this cloud cover. So we have the northerly breezes in place for your Thursday. Chances of rain on and off. As you can see, nothing really heavy develops until later on in the day on Thursday and into Friday night. We'll be seeing some more heavier rain showers, but even those are still showers. So just something to be aware of. We're going to be dealing with the damp and the dreary weather for the end of your work week. Starting tonight, cloudy skies with a few scattered showers, but we don't get too cold, staying in the 50s. By Thursday, we'll struggle to make it to 60 in Gainesville. We're going to stay below 60 north and west of town. It's going to be cloudy and cool out there with those northerly breezes. Cedar Key and St. Augustine, much of the same northerly breezes, keeping the water on the choppier side throughout the 7-day. You can see how cool the temperatures remain. Now, Friday's dreary and in the 50s. Saturday will feel much better because the sun actually comes out. So we'll be in the 50s, and that's going to bring our overnight lows into the 30s because of all of those clear skies. So speaking of the sun, the days are going to continue to get shorter until winter solstice on December 21st. But when is the earliest sunset time? It's actually early December. So the sun starts to set a little bit later as we head into winter solstice. We actually gain 5 minutes on our sunset time, even though the day length itself continues to get shorter until about late December.
All right, thanks, Alex.
A big announcement regarding Gator branding coming up next in sports.
Well, the Gator men's basketball team returns to action tonight. Florida looking to end a little bit of a mini two-game losing streak, if you will, over at the O-Dome later this evening. Gators going to be taking on a mid-major, Loyola, from up in Chicago. Ramblers, not exactly a pushover, though. They currently have only one loss on the season, but all their wins coming against fellow mid-major programs. This is going to be a good test for the Gators, especially on the boards where, let's face it, they've struggled, but should be the bigger team for once. Something they couldn't say against Duke or Florida State. After that loss Monday to the Noles, Coach White said he's looking forward to getting his guys back on the court, rebound both figuratively and literally.
I'm glad we played Wednesday. I really am. As for the next couple, I guess I could answer that after Wednesday, depending on how we play and what level we compete, because I might change my tune on Wednesday, where I would probably potentially feel like we need a month of practice.
That game's set for 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have the highlights later at 11. Well, it's official. Florida football and basketball going to have a new shoe brand logo on their gear next season. School announcing Wednesday they're joining the Jordan brand, meaning that Jumpman silhouette of Michael Jordan going to be all over that Gator swag. Florida football becomes only one of 4 programs in the nation to don that Jordan logo, and actually the first in the SEC. And of course, in a day and age when, well, that swag is pretty important to the recruits, always good to have one of the premier shoe companies doling out that swag. And in case you're looking for some of that Jordan gear for the holidays, well, you're going to have to wait a little while. Retail apparel won't hit the stores until the summer of 2018. Well, it's a special day over at Oak Hall for senior Ashlyn Johnson. Johnson committing to the Air Force Academy on Wednesday for gymnastics. This past season at the Florida State meet, she finished 2nd in the state after taking 1st in the bars and 2nd in the floor exercise. She would go on to finish 13th overall in the Southeast Regional meet. Johnson, who used to live in Utah with her family but then moved back to Gainesville, says the opportunity to be back in the mountains and serve her country just too good to pass up.
It's just crazy knowing that all of this is finally, paid off. All of my dedication to gymnastics is finally all come to an end. I finally get to go where I want to go and get to compete for the United States Air Force Academy. It's just an amazing opportunity. You think about the gymnastics aspect and the service aspect, and you think that that's just such a great thing to do with your life, and it sets you up for a very successful life.
Well, from one special athlete over to another, it's now time for our Meldon Law TV 20 Scholar Athlete of the Week. This week, our athlete comes from Buchholz High School, where, let's face it, she's pretty much always running either on the soccer pitch or for local good causes. TV 20's Elgin Rucker explains.
Eve Lamka is a unique blend of skill and humbleness with a little sprinkle of confidence. As a 4-year varsity starter for Buchholz Soccer, she's given her team maximum effort from day one. And together, they've won back-to-back district titles.
Oh, it's amazing. I feel like we're probably the best team in the city. I don't want to push anything, but yeah, getting back-to-back titles, and then my sophomore year, we went really far too, and then the penalty shootouts and all that kind of stuff, and overtime was just crazy, but it was fun.
Her head coach, Carrie Peterson, says it's pretty hard to pinpoint her best skill on the field because she can do almost everything.
She's been great because I can use her wherever. She was playing in the back for us, and then we realized we needed some more power going forward, so then I put her up top. So just her being so versatile is a huge asset for our team.
She's the same way off the field as well, using her athleticism in a different way to make a difference in the community. She's participated in a number of marathons for charity, including March of Dimes, Einstein Run to Read, Cord, and the 5 Points of Life. She also turned another hobby of hers into something really special.
I like to do art. I learned how to knit for a club at school who gave hats to the homeless population in Gainesville.
Her dedication and commitment to being the best person, athlete, and student she can be makes her one of a kind.
Every time she's on the field, she's going to pour her heart out. And so I think that is such a contagious attribute that just rubs off on the team.
I go into everything 110%. So if I'm going to put my mind to do something, I'm going to do it above and beyond because that's what I try to do. I just really want to succeed because doing well now will put me in a better place in the future. So knowing that, I just want to do all I can now so I can't look back one day and be like, oh, I didn't do this. So knowing that I'm putting in 100% now and it'll pay off in the future, and that's great.
Eve is a National Merit Scholar with a 4.85 GPA. She's also a member of the Future Business Leaders of America, which is perfect for her because Eve's future is full of potential.
It's like doing something in business one day. I feel like that would be like my category because I'm in the Academy of Finance with Buchholz. So like being in that for 4 years, it's opened my eyes to like new subjects and stuff.
Eve Lamka, R. Meldon Law, TV 20, Scholar Athlete of the Week. Elgin Rucker, TV 20 Sports.
All right, here's an obvious question for you. How important is a good start for the Gators tonight in the basketball game?
I mean, it's so vital. I mean, and really it's all going to depend on their jump shot. As we heard them talk about last week, they said, listen, when we're not hitting our jump shots, it seems to affect everything else that we do. So got to start hitting those shots.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
Back in a moment.
All right, here's a current look at temperatures around the area. 73 in Gainesville. Just walked outside the studio, and it is still nice out there in Gainesville. But to the north and west, the same can't be said. We're already in the 50s there. We'll be dropping into the 50s everywhere you go with cloudy skies and some scattered showers overnight. Barely going to make it to 60 tomorrow, and even colder north and west. We stay with the cold through Friday. Lots of rain along with it, so it's going to be kind of miserable. But Saturday, the sun does come out. Now, we do stay with the 50s, but with all of the sunshine, as long as you dress nice, that is some pretty decent weather.
Hey, no snow, that works.
Yeah, looking at layers.
Thanks for joining us.
See you tonight at 11.